AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Cassie Spazzali.
Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. LSU men's basketball coach Matt McMahon, 1 hour from right now. Giant win for the Tigers. We haven't talked a ton of hoops, as you might imagine. The last 6 weeks have been a little busy. A little frenetic, but giant win for Matt McMahon, best win of the season. So we'll get to Coach McMahon 1 hour from right now. College football playoff starts on Friday with the first round games. Over the next 4 days, we'll get a thumbnail preview of each of the SEC teams participating in the first round. So we'll start today with Alabama as the Crimson Tide head up to Norman, Oklahoma. Rematch of a game earlier this season. Our buddy Mark Heim, AL.com, and WNSP Radio Mobile, good enough to join us for a few minutes here. Hey, Mark, how are you, man?
Man, I'm good. I guess the better question is, how is you guys? A lot have changed in Baton Rouge since last time we talked.
Yeah, man. Getting back to normal life after, what did not feel like. But honestly, though, Mark, it's still a little surreal to open up Twitter and see Lane Kiffin tweeting like hashtag come to the boot and like retweeting like tiger emojis. And it is still a little surreal. It's going to take some getting used to.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun.
One thing I've learned, certainly, this is not going to be boring. So it's good for business. We'll see if it's good on the field. Hey, let's talk about this draw with Bama and OU. We know OU's beaten Bama the last 2 years. What's the general feeling about playing this team again and for the third time in 2 seasons?
Well, I think there's obviously some concern, right? Because Venables has had Alabama's number the last couple of years. And quite frankly, Alabama's not playing real well. I think there's an overwhelming sigh of relief that Alabama got into the college football playoff. But this team, well, let me rephrase. This offense is not playing well enough to win games, much less win college football playoff games. So I think there's a little bit of an edge because there's an opportunity here to kind of get a little redemption after Oklahoma took it to them in Tuscaloosa. There's some guys that are going to be back that have been banged up. That team was kind of depleted against Georgia. So I think they're hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. How about that?
That makes sense, but go a little deeper, Mark, if you would, on the offense. There was a time where I thought Ty Simpson was the best player in the country.
Yeah.
And over the last month, as you just said, the offense wasn't very good. What happened?
Well, it's a great question. So they've never been able to run the ball, which is absolutely baffling to anybody that watches college football. It actually goes to your point about how good Ty is and that receiving core has been, that they've been able to throw the ball with the efficiency that they had been able to do without being able to run the ball. They just flat out, Matt, they can't run the ball. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. So a couple things. One, the offensive line has been a mess. Center Parker Brailsford expected to be back for the game, the CFP game against Oklahoma. He did not play in the Georgia game in the SEC championship. They've had to shift guys around constantly there. But I think what you're seeing is defenses like Oklahoma. They bring extra guys. Ty is great, exceptional, better than most. I would say national championship caliber when he has a clean pocket, can make those reads. But so can 3/4 of the quarterbacks in the country, right? But that's what made him so special. Then what started happening is, well, you can't pick up blitz packages. You can't run the ball at all. And now he's getting less and less time. He's pressing now because now they can't stay on the field and they're looking for explosive plays and they're not just there. And he's making some mistakes. He's missing reads. So I think he was rattled a little bit. They're hoping now Jam Miller should be back a little bit. Probably not their best runner, but when it comes to pass pro and all that kind of thing, certainly gives them a better idea of what they can do. So Jam Miller's supposed to be back, although, let me rephrase, they're optimistic he'll be back. I don't think he was a full participant today in practice. He's doing some work. They're optimistic might be the better word for it.
What I saw LT Overton is expected to be out.
Yeah.
What are the other significant personnel injury designations that we're watching?
Josh Cuevas, he's the other one. He's probably as big as any on the offensive side. He's really kind of been Ty Simpson's safety net. Like, he's had huge games, huge plays. He was out during the SEC championship game. You saw that he just didn't have anybody to check down to with any experience. He was out. In fact, last for the SEC championship game, Danny Lewis, the second tight end, he played through an injury. Jam Miller was out. Daniel Hill, the running back, too, he played through injury. Kevin Riley was out for the SEC championship game. Jeremy Bernard played through injury. Cam Dewberry was out, the left guard. Gino Vandermark, the second left guard, he left the game because of injury. So there have been a lot of injuries, and I know what people are saying, Mark, everybody has injuries this time of year, but specifically on the offensive side, you can see the difference.
Mark Heim is with us at Mark_Heim, AL.com, and a WNSP in Mobile. Okay, let's talk about Oklahoma specifically and why they've been able to have success against Alabama the last 2 years.
Yeah, so obviously that defense is no joke, right? I mean, they've been unbelievable. Forcing turnovers in the last game was huge, right? At that point in the season, Ty Simpson hadn't really turned the ball over much, and Alabama had 3 turnovers in that game. Kicking woes continued to be a problem for Alabama. It was really, one way of looking at it was kind of the difference in the game. They missed one right at the end of the half, which really would have shifted the momentum. So they had the 87-yard interception return for a touchdown. Again, they started getting pressure on Ty Simpson. So, yeah, I don't know if it's anything specific that Oklahoma's – I can't really point my finger on what the one thing is that Oklahoma does that's different than what other people are doing, but he certainly has Alabama's number, and really held Alabama's offense to like 57 yards on the last 4 drives of the game, like absolutely took them out of the game. And John Mateer just kind of managed his way, right? And he threw the ball enough. He ran the ball just enough to keep the defense honest. And, Matt, I will say the one good thing about this Alabama defense right now is playing better than it did Oklahoma earlier in the season. Kane Womack has really gotten that unit playing better and better each week. So they're playing at their best. That's one sign of optimism for Alabama.
As I look at it right now, Mark, Bama's a slight favorite, looking at 1.5. I mean, it's a virtual pick right there. If play a hypothetical with me. If Oklahoma wins, Bama another 4-loss season out here in the first round. Well, I mean, you're live, but I am curious. What is the look? Kalen DeBoer was tasked with the impossible, right? Replacing Nick Saban. What does it feel like there in Tuscaloosa if they lose on Friday?
Yeah, so I think people are really kind of, what's a good word for it? I'm really unsure about Kalen DeBoer. It's been a roller coaster ride. There have been some really, really highs, and there have been some really, really lows, right? I mean, you mentioned Oklahoma. You lose to Vanderbilt before Vanderbilt really, everybody knew what Vanderbilt was. Even so, I'd still say that's just, you can't lose to Vanderbilt. But you've had some unbelievable wins, right? The best win in college football all year was their win this year at Georgia early in the season. So they had a stretch there where they beat 4 or 5 top 20, top 25 teams. So you've seen the greatness. You've also seen some unexplainable losses. So people just, I think they just kind of go with the flow, right? So if you lose to Florida State, people are going to be talking about buyouts. And you get into the college football playoff, people are going to want to know, hey, are you interested in Penn State? Are you talking to Penn State? Are you talking to Michigan? He had to come out over the weekend with the same statement he came out a couple weeks ago and specifically say, not going anywhere. He was asked specifically today, Matt, if he's going to be the coach at Alabama next year. He didn't really answer the question, which was really kind of funny. He said, I love it here. My family loves it here. We like the challenge here. He said all the things he said in the statement. And then about 2 questions later, he was asked the follow-up, hey, you didn't really answer the question. Are you going to be a coach here? He kind of left. He said, yes, I'm going to be the coach here. That is, of course, unless they don't want him here. But my question to that is, who's the alternative at this point?
Yeah. Who's the alternative to be the Alabama coach? Is that what you're saying?
If you were to if you decided that you didn't want Kalen DeBoer, who would be the guy out there that would fill that spot?
Sure.
Right. I don't know if that guy's out there.
You mentioned the statement that, and I had not heard yet what DeBoer said today, but the statement over the weekend that he put out. Are you buying that he is pot committed, no interest in the Michigan job? Or is this sort of semantics where, agents do the conversation and stuff like that? I guess it's more just, how does Kalen DeBoer feel about being in Tuscaloosa?
I think he likes Tuscaloosa. I think he's happy where he is. I do think there was some sort of conversation. I don't think it was him. I'm sure it was one of his agents. He specifically said that he has had no interaction. There's been no interest on either side. I don't know if I buy all that. I think if that were the case, as soon as your name had come up on all these candidate lists, right, wouldn't you go ahead and send that statement out? But he waited a few days, which I thought was interesting. He waited till yesterday, which he said was the day before he was going to meet with the media because he knew they were going to have questions. He kind of made it sound like, oh, I'm trying to get ahead of this. I thought he was a few days behind it, quite frankly.
Well, one thing's for certain with coaching carousel, man, anything's possible. I would say consider everything, believe nothing. It's just we'll see how it all plays out eventually. But we know they'll play a football game on Friday in Norman, Oklahoma, with a rematch of an SEC game from earlier this year. Mark Heim, WNSP Radio in Mobile and AL.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Mark_Heim. Always appreciate it, man. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and yours, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, bud. We'll visit again soon. Our buddy Mark Heim, been a longtime friend of the show. We appreciate him. Mark and Lee do, Lee Shervany and Mark do mornings there on WNSP in Mobile on weekdays, and that for a really long time. Really good perspective there on Alabama. It's an interesting matchup with Alabama and OU. It's something we're going to see more of, right, is rematches. When you have this 12-team format, you're going to see conference opponents play each other. I mean, it's last year, Oregon was undefeated, number one team in the country. They got the bye, and then they had to play Ohio State. Ohio State got a second crack at them and beat them in the Rose Bowl. Beat them like a drum. Went on to win the national championship. Now, Oklahoma beat Alabama in the regular season. They get to play them again. This time they're going to play it in Norman, but it's one of those things where, for OU, can they do it again against Alabama? It feels a lot like it's going to start to feel a lot like divisional matchups in the NFL, where you seldom are going to see the same game repeat because you realize you've got to do something different to try to find. It's not so much just about doing what you do, it's about taking advantage of an individual matchup in that game that you think favors your team. So it'll be fascinating to watch this and to see these types of rematches play out in a 12-team playoff, which I think we're just going to see more and more as the years go along. So Bama and OU Friday. We'll also look at Oklahoma. At the Oklahoma side of it, you'll certainly look at Ole Miss. The SEC teams in the college football playoff, of course, Georgia has a bye. So we'll do that as we make our way throughout this week, looking at all the teams in the college football playoff from the Southeastern Conference. All right, it is after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Let's knock out a quick break. Come back. There's been so much conversation about the quarterbacks in the transfer portal. If you missed it, the big news today, DJ Lagway, Dominic Raiola, both announcing their intentions to go into the transfer portal. So the question from an LSU perspective is, okay, well, who's your competition and what quarterbacks might you be targeting? I want to dig a little deeper there. We'll do that next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. And there's so many reasons to work with Darren James. Listen, a lot of people may think, I'm going to list my home for sale by owner. Nearly 3 out of 4 people, this is statistical fact, objective data. 3 out of 4 people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. And there's so many reasons why. Maybe you don't know how to properly price your home. Maybe you're just not around enough for showings. Maybe it's any number. Maybe it's all the paperwork that you're just not familiar with. Whatever. Save yourself the time and the money. Call Darren James. Of course, also working with Darren obligates you to nothing. If at any point you're not thrilled with the service, he'll let you out of the contract free and clear. But Darren James gets result. Number 14 in the country on the number of homes closed. You need to sell your home. You need Darren James. Log on, agent225.com.
Think real real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
The Saints are going to face the Jets coming up this weekend. It's going to be a pretty significant change for Aaron Glenn's staff. We'll get to that here in about a dozen minutes from right now. LSU basketball coach Matt McMahon to start hour number 3. Glad you're hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of AFR. Hope you had an awesome weekend as we sort of steamroll toward the holidays. My last week before I take a couple of weeks off, always do that around the holidays. We have a lot of time off already built in around Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, so I just take off 2 weeks. So you'll hear a lot of Muse coming up around the holidays, but looking forward to recharging for a few weeks. So we'll have a full week here. Looking forward to it. When January the 2nd hits and the portal opens, I fully expect that LSU is going to be very aggressive. I don't think that's breaking news or anything along those lines, but in a lot of the conversations I've had with folks around LSU, administrators, boosters, staff members, they are very obviously and clearly gearing up to have an explosive portal cycle. I've said it, and I don't think this is any type of breaking news, but the expectation is that Lane Kiffin come and win immediately. There is no expectation of take a few years to build it. And you could look at examples of Indiana's probably the best example. And what Kurt Cignetti did going into the worst program in the history of college football, the losingest program in the history of college football, in year 1 in the college football playoff. Year 2, number 1, Heisman Trophy. It can be done immediately. And there's going to be the investment of resources for Kiffin to have a roster that allows him to do it immediately. Now, the schedule is going to be a bear, but you have to have the players, as he said. And it's going to start with quarterback. And I think the big question is, who are you going to target? And it may sound pretty obvious because there's 2 guys at Ole Miss, and either one of them could end up in Baton Rouge. Could. With Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons. But I'll get to that in a second, the potential targets. But I think the other question to look at is, who are the other teams that are going to be in the market for a transfer quarterback? And how might that, where might LSU fall in the pecking order? Because I've said that I think LSU this year, not every year, not blanket statement, but this year, you could make a very strong argument that LSU will have the best pitch of any quarterback needy team in the portal this year. For just if you look around college football and do a Google search, I don't cover every team in college football, but I have a working knowledge of a lot, and I could certainly do research to see what people in various markets are saying about the teams they cover. And so programs like Miami, Carson Beck will be gone. Texas Tech is obviously going to be looking for a new quarterback, and they've been very aggressive in the portal. Same with Indiana. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza will be out of eligibility. Florida State has hit the portal for quarterbacks. Castellanos has gone after this year. Does Clemson, replacing Cade Klubnik, did they go into the portal? Dabo's been very resistant to that, but did they maybe look in the portal? Like today, Florida and Nebraska both lost their starting quarterbacks with DJ Lagway and with Dylan Raiola. Are they in the market for a portal quarterback? Possibly. I could certainly look at Florida and look at John Summerall. Obviously the last 2 years, with what they've done in the transfer portal at quarterback, and this year losing Darian Mensah to Duke and then very quickly bringing in Retzlaff from BYU. That's something that I don't think John Summerall is at all shy or gun shy of doing. But I look at what maybe the advantages are that LSU has in this year. Again, to be clear, I don't think it's not just a blanket statement to say, LSU's great and the top quarterback in the portal is going to want to pick LSU every year. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I think there's a lot that LSU has working for it this year. Number one, first and foremost, is there's no incumbent. And I think a lot of the places I just mentioned are going to share that. But Garrett Nussmeier, his eligibility is done, and nobody's going to look at Michael Van Buren and say, well, he's just been ordained the next guy. He's not been nearly good enough over the last month to make anyone feel like that's something that would be valid. And so there's an immediate opportunity for someone to step in and be the starter and not have to compete for a job. Just like if you're the guy, you can come in immediately and have the job at LSU. The NIL component is probably hand in hand with that. There has to be an opportunity to play, and the financial opportunity has to be there as well. And this is something we've talked a lot about, and I think it's worth noting that all the other schools that I mentioned there, Miami, Texas Tech, Indiana, Florida State, Clemson, Florida, Nebraska, we spent a lot of time since Lane Kiffin was hired, even before then, talking about the LSU NILSU Max program. Because remember, it's no longer sufficient just to go fundraise for your collective and just write checks. You can't do that anymore. You have to have true third-party NIL deals to be able to funnel that money to your student athletes. We have to have a plan in place with true third-party deals to do that. Well, this was don't take my word for it, this is what Lane Kiffin said at his press conference.
I want to make a decision that has nothing to do with money for me. Now, tell me the numbers and the plan for what the money is for the players, because that's everything in that area. To me, Verge and his team had a really, really good plan. Even talked to some donors that are part of that plan here to see exactly how does that work. And there's a great plan here. This was the best setup. That definitely played a factor into it.
He said point blank at the end of that bite that the money for him was close in all the offers. The NIL plan wasn't close. So you don't have to take my word for it. Take Lane Kiffin's word for it, okay? The portal king. So LSU, immediate playing time available, NIL deals, great, cool. Check, gigantic there. Then I think you start to look at what's around you. In drawbacks for LSU, you could conceptually look and say, well, the offensive line was terrible this year. And that is inarguable. LSU's offensive line was awful. It was the worst position group on the team for LSU. And your two best players were transfers in Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson. Well, Josh Thompson's out of eligibility. Braylon Moore could return, and I certainly hope that he does. But I would also say you look at Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, Cohen Eccles, Weston Davis, Carius Kern. These are all guys that were 4 and 5 stars, top 100 overall prospects that everybody in the country wanted. You can't convince me that LSU missed on every one of these guys. I think a lot of that had to do with scheme, coaching, etc. By contrast, Ole Miss this year, in 12 games, Ole Miss allowed 16 sacks. That tied for 21st in the country. 12 games, they allowed a total of 16 sacks. Do you mean to tell me that Ole Miss's offensive linemen were more highly touted, more star ratings? None of them, by the way, are projected that I saw anywhere to be draftable prospects this year. So LSU's got all these 4 and 5 star dudes, and Ole Miss's line outperformed them. Scheme, coaching, maybe. And then you also have money to go in the portal and spend. And then when you look statistically, you're going to return Harlem Berry, Caden Durham, and you're losing Berrien Brown and Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson. But I would also look and say, look at all the talent that you have and have always had there. And you know that Lane Kiffin and the staff are going to go in the portal and add more receiving talent based on the style of receiver that he wants. You're going to have Trey'Dez Green back. You're going to have Kyle Parker back. You're going to have young guys like Teron Francis who have the ability to take the next step in this offense. So I believe I'm looking at what Lane Kiffin was able to do. Say you go get Trey Harris from Louisiana Tech, and Harris would have won the Biletnikoff if he not got injured a year ago. So I'm sort of laying my bet there with Kiffin, his ability to identify talent at receiver, and the fact that LSU's always had receiving talent there. And then you throw in the SEC, the brand, LSU, Tiger Stadium, all of that sort of stuff. You'll walk guys into the football ops building, and they'll immediately look to the right and see Heisman trophies and national championship trophies and national award winners. And there's just a lot to sell there, right? And then ultimately, I think the most important part of a sales pitch is Lane Kiffin. Because everywhere that Lane Kiffin has gone, the quarterback productivity has followed. You look at Trinidad Chambliss this year. You look at Jackson Dart prior to that, who became a first-round draft pick. Matt Corral prior to that, who became an all-SEC caliber quarterback. If you go and look at Lane Kiffin's time at FAU, right after he left Alabama. At FAU, they won 2 Conference USA titles during Kiffin's time at FAU. And if you were to go back and look at, say, for example, the 2017, 18, or 19 season, right? Like if you look, for example, at 2019, their quarterback was Chris Robinson. Chris Robinson was a 2-year starter there at FAU. In 2018, he threw for 2,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks. A year later, 2019, 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Yep, pretty good. You can go back to Lane's 3 years at Bama. He had a converted running back in Blake Sims who got to the college football playoff in 2014. I guess they were just short of the 14 playoff. They ended up playing Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. In 2015, he wins a national championship with Jake Coker. And then 2016, he has Jalen Hurts as a true freshman, and they make the college football playoff championship. Like, everywhere he's gone, offense has followed quarterback productivity. Like, that's the undeniable truth about Kiffin. We can say whatever we want about him, his ability to win big games as a head coach, or being on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. The undeniable truth is everywhere he goes, quarterbacks produce, and the offense is explosive. That's just a fact. So if you're LSU and you have that to go, all that to go sell, I do think LSU probably is the most attractive place in the country for a transfer portal quarterback this year. Now, who might that be? Well, you could start with Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons, and I think there's a really good chance that if Chambliss is granted an extra year of eligibility, he could go in the portal, could land at LSU. Or he could stay at Ole Miss. And if he stays at Ole Miss, then I think Austin Simmons goes in the portal. And if Simmons goes in the portal, he very likely ends up at LSU. I think either one of those are very plausible. The Bryce Underwood situation feels like a bit of a long shot, but certainly would be an option or an opportunity. Today, 2 quarterbacks in Lagway and Raiola both went into the transfer portal or announced their intention to. Lane Kiffin, I'm not sure if you saw this, but retweeted the post about DJ Lagway going into the portal. Now, I don't know what I'm supposed to read into that. It feels very much like, what do you make of recruits retweeting something or scrubbing their Instagram of a certain team or what? I don't know. But certainly that's something that's on Kiffin's radar. And then the other two names that I think are worth mentioning are Byron Brown from USF. So Byron Brown was the quarterback for Alex Golesh this year at South Florida. He threw for 3,100 yards and 28 touchdowns and also ran for 1,000 yards this season as well. He ran for 1,008 yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. So an explosive dual-threat guy there at South Florida. Now, could Byron Brown go in the transfer portal and land at Auburn with Alex Golesh? Sure, he very well could do that. Or maybe he goes into the portal and lands somewhere else at a place like LSU. The other one to keep an eye on, I will tell you, is C.J. Bailey. C.J. Bailey from NC State is expected to go in the transfer portal. This year, he threw for 2,800 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's also a guy that can run it a little bit, not an explosive or dynamic rusher, but a guy who can also run the football. Averaged 4.5 yards a carry this year at NC State. Forgive me, he ran for 215 yards. That's not sack adjusted. So in any event, point is, there's a lot of options out there. And if you trust Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock to identify the skill set of the quarterback that best suits the offense they want to run and use all of the resources LSU has to get that player here, then LSU will absolutely have an opportunity to be a contender year one under Lane Kiffin. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they're going to the playoff. I'm not pounding the table making any predictions. It's impossible to know until we know better what the roster is going to look like. But what I'm saying is you have a lot to sell such that you can build the roster into what should look like a contender year one under Lane Kiffin. It can be done, and that's going to be the expectation. All right, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Hey, I love telling you about Evamore as well. EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. Remember, y'all, when it gets cold outside, or maybe not as parched just because it's not hot, we forget to stay hydrated. Cannot recommend highly enough. Carry a bottle of Evamore with you. Stay hydrated. If you're feeling under the weather, there's no better way to help your body heal than to hydrate. And Evamore is natural artesian water. Nothing added, nothing taken away. And that may sound obvious, but you go grab a bottle of water bottled water, you'd be surprised. Look at the label. Look at how many times it says something added for flavor or something taken out. This is true natural artesian water out of the well, into the bottle, never touches air until you crack it. Take that first delicious sip. It's Evamore. EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Okay, y'all. It's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Muse will get the Tigers and the Pros in about a dozen minutes from right now. Let me knock out a break. Saints won back-to-back games, and they're a 4-point favorite over the Jets Sunday in the Superdome. And the Jets have a very significant change coming for this weekend in the Dome. We'll tell you about it next on AFR.
AFR.
If you want to feel like your younger self, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. And maybe as we start moving toward New Year's and we start looking at New Year's resolutions, let Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness help. Two things I want to tell you about. One, if you're already on hormone therapy, it is so worth switching to Goodwood. There's no membership fees. If you're paying a membership fee at your HRT clinic, leave now, immediately. There's no membership fees, lowest prices, never any contracts. And when you do your blood labs every 6 months, Goodwood pays for that. They don't charge you. I was at another clinic for a long time. There's no place better than Goodwood. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. Then also peptides. Peptides are revolutionary. You've heard me talk about it, the success that I've had with BPC 157 to heal my back, NAD Plus for energy and cellular optimization. There are peptides for gut health and brain fog and mental clarity and energy and muscle growth. You got to learn more. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
I relieved Steve Wilks from his duties this morning as our defensive coordinator. Chris Harris will actually be assuming those duties right now, and I will be helping him as he progresses through the week as our coordinator, and everybody else will stay the same.
Jets head coach Aaron Glenn announcing that Steve Wilks fired after just 14 games as the Jets defensive coordinator. And they've been poo-poo. I mean, the Jets were a top 4 defense every year from 2022 through 2024, and they've been awful. They're 30th in scoring. They're 20th in yards allowed, 28th in EPA, which is expected points added, and they only have 2 takeaways all year. They have 2 takeaways, and they've not intercepted a pass. 2 takeaways through 14 games. An NFL team has 2 takeaways through 14 games. How's that possible? Like, somebody's going to sneeze while they're throwing a pass and just throw it to the wrong team. You're going to have a miscommunication and heave a ball. Like the Tyler Shuck interception last week. It was a miscommunication. Receiver went left. Quarterback thought it was deep. You just heaved one interception. It's a deflected ball. Got bounced up into the air and was intercepted. That's a Hail Mary at the end of the half. 0. Stunning. Aaron Glenn also talked about who's going to call defense against the Saints.
Chris will be calling the defense. He's done it before in the preseason. Again, I will be assisting him as the week goes by on game planning. But I've said this before, that this is the league of change. And with change come opportunity. And this will be a good opportunity for him to get a chance to call it.
Okay. By the way, so the Jets defense stinks, which is crazy too. I mean, Muse, I would not have thought that the Jets defense would be this bad with Sauce Gardner on it.
Oh, yeah. He's not there anymore.
What do you mean?
They traded him to Indianapolis for 2 first-round picks.
They traded Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, they traded Sauce Gardner.
So he's not on that defense anymore?
Not on the defense anymore.
Well, even without him, you would think they'd still be really good because they got Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, except they don't have him anymore either.
What?
Yeah. See, they traded him to Dallas.
So they traded their best cornerback and their best defensive lineman?
Yes.
Oh. We still got Michael Carter, don't they?
No.
They don't have him either?
No.
Where'd he go? Are you Googling it real quick?
I don't remember.
It's Philadelphia.
Yeah, they traded him to the Eagles.
Yeah.
He went to the Eagles.
You don't say.
Yeah.
So the Jets traded 3 defensive starters, including 2 that are arguably the best or among the best in the NFL at their position. Traded them, and now their defense stinks. And so they fired the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, that's what happened this morning.
Wouldn't it stand to reason that if you trade all of your good players, you're not going to be as good?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. I got great news for the New Orleans Saints. You're going to play the Jets this weekend, and their defense stinks. Now, the Saints have managed to win a couple games. But if we're being completely transparent here, the Saints' offense has not exactly been explosive. As we've talked about, the defense has improved. The Saints' defense is 11th in the NFL in total defense right now. And again, hat tip Jimmy Ott. I heard him give this stat out. If you missed it, now or one. But over the last 5 games, the Saints in yards per game allowed are 2 yards behind the Houston Texans, who are the best defense in the NFL. So the Saints have been really good defensively over the last 5, which has allowed them to be in some games and have an opportunity to win it, even though New Orleans is still 29th in the NFL in scoring. The Saints average just 16 points a game. And in the last 2 that they've won, they scored 24 against Tampa and 20 against Carolina. In their other win, they scored 17 on the road against Carolina, and in their first win of the season against the Giants, they scored 26. And that was one where Jackson Dart threw up on himself and they turned it over like 6 times. So the Saints are not very good offensively as far as being explosive and converting and scoring a lot of points, but they're finding ways to win games and make plays. The Saints are open a 4-point favorite over the Jets, and it's now up to 4.5. But this should be an opportunity to see the Saints offense get going. The Jets allowed points in 8 of the first 9 drives this past weekend. I mean, they gave up 48 to Jacksonville. I get it. Jacksonville is hot as a concrete egg on a concrete in July in the desert. Did I get him used? Did I get a Lynn Rollins? No?
I love the effort there.
No?
I do, but
what would Lynn have said? It's as hot as a frying an egg on the concrete in Arizona in July.
There you go. Yeah, like that. That would work.
Okay. I hope Lynn's listening. Probably driving around Alec right now going, oh, look at Scone trying to pull the Lynnism. I can't do it. I can't do it. There's no shot. I have no shot of doing it as well as he.
I mean, nobody can. So that's why he's Lynn Rollins and he's the only one. Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm not. What was I talking about?
The Jets' defense being, quote, poo-poo.
No, but what was I doing about being hot?
Oh, the Jaguars are hot.
Thank you. Yes, they are. And so I understand that's a challenge, but they also gave up 34 to Miami, and they stink. So Saints got a great shot to get their 3rd consecutive win. I'm floored. You trade Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Michael Carter, and your defense isn't as good. I'm floored that it worked out that way. Apparently, draft picks can't make tackles or defend passes.
Or intercept them. As you
pointed
out.
So they could do it even when they had Sauce Gardner. We're brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. It's me and Terrio and Tilly and Joe and our whole staff over at Parrish Construction and Roofing. Hey, look, we're getting near the end of the year. Maybe with all the rain we had over the weekend and last weekend, you started to see water spots. Maybe it's just that your roof looks ugly. Like maybe you've got like algae on your roof, which happens. Like a soft wash, a lot of times will clean that and extend the life of your roof. So let us come out and soft wash your roof, the whole exterior of your home, your hardscape. Beautify the exterior of your home. Do it right now. You should do that like every 6 months, as a matter of fact. I'm on the schedule to do it at my house every 6 months. I come soft wash my house every 6 months. ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. We also do gutters, repairs, replacements, everything. Commercial, residential, ParrishBuilt.com. Do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing, ParrishBuilt.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. All right, quick break. Musil do Tigers and the Pros. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2, and then Matt McMahon is here in 17 minutes. Basketball Tigers got a big win over the weekend. Haven't talked to Coach McMahon yet since the season started, but a good time to do it with the Tigers beating down SMU on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that convo. Stay with us, AFR.
AFR.
Man, how cool was it on Thursday to be over at Gordon McKernan's office for the bicycle giveaway? You know, we've been able to promote the bicycle giveaway for the many years here that we've partnered with and endorsed Gordon McKernan, but it was really cool to be there at the office on Thursday with all the kiddos coming by and picking up their bicycles and seeing all the smiles. And it's just another way that Gordon gives back with his generosity and the philanthropy to the communities that he serves. Yes, as we say every day, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You can follow Gordon on any of the social medias at getgordon. You know, after the bike giveaway in Baton Rouge on Thursday, they were down in New Orleans for the bike giveaway there on Friday, and he just continues to give back to all the communities, especially this time of year. So, you've been injured in an accident, you know what to do. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Big shout out to Brandon Holly and the gang over at Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Make your home more energy efficient. Install energy efficient custom replacement windows from Relief Windows. Reliefwindows.com. Reliefwindows.com. Okay, Muse, Tigers in the pros. Hit it.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, some of the news of the day in the NFL. The Washington Commanders have made the decision to shut Jaden Daniels down for the rest of the season, so he will not play over the course of the final 3 weeks. This comes a week after he aggravated his dislocated elbow. Dan Quinn said that Daniels still hasn't been cleared for contact and was unlikely to play against the Eagles. Daniels has missed 6 games this season with multiple injuries, including that dislocated elbow.
That elbow was more crooked than a question mark drawn by a third grader with his non-dominant hand.
No good. No good. It's the right decision for the Commanders.
I thought that was pretty good.
It's too long. So the lineisms,
too long?
Yeah, the lineisms are quick.
Too high?
Too high.
Too high? Too far?
Who gives it? It's gone. Joe Burrow. Yikes. 225, no touchdowns, and 2 picks. Yesterday, the Bengals were shut out. This is only the second time in Joe Burrow's career, multiple interceptions and no touchdown passes in the same game. Jamar Chase did have a good day, 10 receptions for 132 yards, along with 34. But again, the Bengals shut out. How about Tre'Davious White? He was all over the place for the Bills in their comeback win against the Patriots. 2 stops, one of those for a loss, 2 passes defensed, and an interception. His first interception of the season for Trey White in that one. And again, Patriots with, the Bills with the comeback win over New England. Brian Thomas Jr. for Jacksonville. I mean, feels like everybody scored a touchdown in that game for the Jags. But Thomas, 4 receptions, 66 yards, and the score. 39 was his long in that game. And then a trio of former Tigers starring on the defensive side for the Texans. How about Damone Clark, 4 stops in the ballgame. Danielle Hunter, 3 stops, his 12th sack of the season. And then Derek Stingley Jr. also with 3 sacks and a tackle for a loss. That's Tigers in the pros.
We're brought about Supper Club. I am so excited. Going to Supper Club tomorrow. Got a little holiday party over at Supper Club. I told you before, it's a perfect place for any type of gathering. Romantic dinner to celebrate anniversary, birthday, graduation, promotion, anything you're looking to celebrate. Supper Club's the best. Probably a little challenging at this point if you're thinking about having a Christmas or holiday party. A little close for it, but I mean, you want to have dinner, you could certainly book a reservation. Great opportunity to do it. So we think and head toward the new year. Amazing. Amazing opportunity as we bring in the new year to celebrate with a beautiful dinner. at Supper Club with people you love the most. Book your reservation today at supperclubbtr.com. If you've never been to Supper Club, or if it's just been a while since you've been, it's time to go back. It's time to experience the new menu items. It's time to experience the specialties that Chef Layton brings in every week. Supperclubbtr.com for your reservation. Experience Supper Club. Supperclubbtr.com. And if you can get by, even if just for a glass of wine or a cocktail, get by just to see all of the Christmas decor. They did a gorgeous job of decorating the restaurant. I'm excited to be there tomorrow. I'll snap some photos and put them up on the gram. Yes, I just called it the gram. Sorry about that. Supperclubbtr.com. All right, it's after further review. Matt McMahon. Sometimes on the gram. Terrible transition. I need to go to break. I need the top of the hour badly. Matt McMahon coming up after SportsCenter. Stick around.
AFR.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, want to remind you about South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Remember, if you go to the website, you're already going to see promotions for the 2026s. So this is an awesome time at the end of the year when they got to get the 2025s out. So go make a deal on a brand spanking new 2025 Volkswagen at Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. 2025 towels for 0% for 60 months. Free money for 60 months, 5 years. Free money for 5 years. What are you waiting on? Go make a deal, y'all. Volkswagen Deal Day is going on right now at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. And they're just great people. They're the best. Airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?